Facts Alive with me, Dee Law, and my guest, Marcia Vitte from the Indian Revenue Department, and Nelson Alexander from IVATS, which is Ivy Accounting and Tax Services, and they're based and located in Latok. If you'd like to win a gift related to tonight's show, just tell us 3 sponsors of the Law Factor Live, including one that provides tips about your security, and also tell us where IVATS is located. If you're part of DFL's BBM group or have sent us emails, we let you know what we're discussing weekly and invite you to send questions for the show. Our guests tonight certainly have their work cut out for them, as we received many questions. Before I actually start asking the viewers questions, I'd like to ask Marcia if she can explain to us what income tax is.
Income tax. We can say first of all what a tax is. And a tax is simply an amount that is levied on someone or on a person. Now, a person can be individual or corporation. If we have to go into the type of taxes, we have quite a few taxes, and the Inland Revenue Department administers quite a few. I guess we can go into them later, but to go into personal income tax, that is what everybody files at the end of the financial year for some corporations, and for individuals is in March, at the end of March, and that is 3 months after the calendar year. So you work January to December, and that is what you report on, that revenue, and you have 3 months in which to get all that information together and come in and file those returns.
Okay, well, let me ask you, what is your role in Inland Revenue?
I'm the assistant controller for the collection section, so we deal mainly with collections, because first and foremost you have to remember that Inland Revenue Department is a collection agency. That is what Inland Revenue is there for, not primarily to pay out refunds like some people would think. So our main goal is to collect taxes, and that is a section that I head.
Okay, thank you. Nelson, tell us about yourself and IVATS.
Okay. I have worked at the Inland Revenue for about 25 years, and then I left. Okay. With IVATS, my girlfriend runs IVATS, and since I'm the tax expert, I usually give assistance in that way. Okay. Currently, I have a team of auditors which I supervise. Yeah.
Okay. And where exactly is IVATS?
IVATS is located on the Latok Highway, just after the hardest hard shop, on the way to the old Latok.
Okay, and there's a big sign there.
There's a big sign on a black wall. Somebody can't miss it.
Okay, and why would someone want to come to see you as opposed to going to Inland Revenue?
Okay. Somebody would rather go to a tax consultant, which is my madam, because Inland Revenue's best interest, officers at Inland Revenue, probably best interest would be the department. So they probably will give you assistance, but they're not too keen to probably give you all your allowances, and having a tax consultant will more able you to claim all your deductions and all your allowances. It's like having a lawyer on your side, which you hire, so they look after your best interest.
But that's a strong statement when you're saying that the Inland Revenue, they're not too keen, because they are there to serve the people. Marcia, what's your response to that?
I would like to ensure that is not the case. Inland Revenue, we aim to be fair to every taxpayer. So we would actually tell them, why haven't you brought in an insurance statement? We would ask the questions. There are a number of allowances that you're granted, and we have to ensure that, ask the questions whether you want our assistance in filing. Do you have medical insurance? Do you have life insurance? Tell us what can you claim. These are what you can claim. Are you paying these insurances or mortgage interest, the different allowances that are given to you? And we assist taxpayers. We don't just want to say pay.
Well, is that one of the reasons why, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, okay? Is that one of the reasons why when it's time for us to file our taxes, there's always like the last minute rush, because that's the people's fault. That is not Inland Revenue's fault, because everyone wants to blame Inland Revenue when they go there and they're accused. Really, it's your fault because you should have filed sooner. But people are saying when they go to Inland Revenue, they have to wait, and they're waiting and they're waiting. So would you say that one of the reasons why they're waiting is because they've left it too late, and because perhaps your team are asking the questions that's going to be helping this person to complete a fair form?
First of all, we put in the papers close to filing time, exactly what is necessary for filing, what we call our checklist. So you would know once you read the papers, once you listen to the news, you would see our checklist and know what you need for filing. Then during probably about the last week of filing, we set up almost like set up shop in different locations. We go to the north of the island, we're in the south, because we already have a department in the south. So we open up everywhere. So we have several locations that you can actually come to. In town, we can even probably come into the post office. We use the JQ Mall and so on. So we put ourselves out so that the taxpayers wouldn't have to wait in line. You know, we try to ensure that come in early, you know, beat the rush. You don't have to wait till the 31st or even the 1st of April and then you come and say, am I too late? Have I gotten there on time? And you know it's the 1st, you know the deadline was the 31st. But I think we put ourselves out to ensure that you get everything together and file on time.
Well, I think that everything has a benefit. And if we looked at, say, someone like Nelson with all the experience that he has, and he's worked in the Inland Revenue Department, perhaps it would be fair to say that because you've worked there, you know the runnings of it, and someone came to you, they have more time. The only difference is they're paying for your time. Whereas if they went to Inland Revenue, they wouldn't pay for the time.
Yeah, sometimes because of the crowd, Inland Revenue is in a rush to get things done. Okay, Inland Revenue is very good at helping employees, persons whose sole source of income is salary. But when it comes to persons with businesses and corporations, those things, that's not the best place to go. You understand?
Why would you say something like that?
Okay, because the officers, the main duties are not probably preparing financial statements and tax returns for persons.
Right.
So if you go to somebody who you hire, the person will take the time and make sure you get everything that you can claim for. So in that case, your probably tax liability will be lower, and then also your refund may be greater. Because
I can go a step further, Nelson, and say that we don't prepare financial statements for individuals. We don't. You have a sole proprietorship, a business that you don't get employment income from. We don't prepare statements for you. So it will be better for you to go to a tax officer, a tax preparer like Nelson, and there are several others as well. You go to them to assist you in filing returns. Okay.
Now, why would you say people hate this time of the year? Apart from, of course, nobody likes to put their hand in their pockets and, and pay. But why should we have to pay if, for example, let's look at the ordinary working person who has a 9-to-5 job and their employer has, makes the deductions for them. Why should that individual then have to go and sort out taxes? Because it's already been paid, isn't it?
Yeah, but the amounts are not correct.
What happens? You get a code. Now that code depends primarily on the individual. The individual comes into the department and fills out a form. That form is your information. You have to ensure that that is correct. Whatever you expense during the year, whatever allowances that we are giving to you, ensure you put it in. Like I said earlier, your mortgage interest, your medical insurance, and so on. There's a checklist. If you do not put in all of these, and at the end of the day you have a code that is too low, then you would end up with a liability.
That has happened. I know of that happening to people. So in a case like that, where you find yourself going to file and you're told that you've got extra to money to pay, is it then the employee's responsibility to ensure they have the correct tax code to give to their employer? Now, what if the employee feels that they have done that and they have given the employer the right tax code, and the employer decides, well, yes, you did give me the right tax code, but I've made the deductions wrongly? Whose responsibility is it then to ensure that the tax is being paid? Still the employee's?
It is the employee. The taxes are on the employee, not the employer. The employer has to ensure that they deduct the tax and they remit it to the Inland Revenue Department. And that is all the Income Tax Act has asked him to do, or her to do.
Okay.
The employee is responsible for his or her own taxes.
Okay. Now income tax is compulsory. Are there any exceptions to the rule at all?
Well, there's one. Persons making less than 17,400 may not need to file a tax return. Okay? But because of the public clearances and other things they may need from the department still make the effort to have them file. Okay?
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
There's a threshold.
Okay,
There's a
so
threshold.
that's the threshold, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're making below that as salary, you don't need to file. But because probably next year you may need a tax clearance or whatever, the department still encourages you to file. So there'll be a record of the activity for the year before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but how would the Inland Revenue find out anyway that you've made more than 17,000? So
Well,
it's the onus is on you, I suppose.
No,
in
but
all honesty, to
no, employers usually send in what you call the TD5s with
Right.
the salary slips. A
Okay.
copy goes to Inland Revenue. And then if they do a reconciliation, they can see the person's name and how much they made.
Okay.
And raise an assessment on you on that amount.
Okay. Now, in terms of, I mean, why we've mentioned before about paying the different rates, so the different codes and so on and so forth.
Okay.
But why is it then that, in fact, I asked you a question, I don't think I actually allowed you to answer it, which is why we hate to pay it. Why do we hate to pay tax? We know we have to pay it. Why do we hate doing it?
Nobody likes money coming out of their pockets.
I think some persons just think government puts the money to a wrong use. So I don't want my money to go to that government because that government just wastes it or do this and do that with it. Yeah.
I think
So-
nobody likes to pay bills.
I don't
Nobody.
mind paying my tax.
Nobody likes
Yeah.
the money coming out of their pockets. But you have to understand what the tax, your tax dollar, does for you.
And for the country also.
And for the
Yeah.
country, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true, that's
you
true.
have to
I,
understand
I think
that.
sometimes perhaps we shouldn't think about this political angle in terms of, I don't like what the government's going to do with it, because at the end of the day, it boils down to St. Lucia and it boils down to an individual, because correct me if I'm wrong, our taxes helps other people who aren't as fortunate
Yes,
as we
it
are.
does.
And there are going to be times in our life perhaps that we may need to go to the taxman and maybe use certain things that we have to, it's not a refund or part, I don't know what the word is, things that we already have perhaps can be not put aside, but be counted as having some tax-free allowances or something. Do you know what I'm
Some
saying?
things are deductible when you give.
Deductible, yes.
Yeah. Although there are conditions, like donations and so on, charitable donations, those are deductible, subjected to some conditions.
Okay, great. Well, when we come back, I'm going to start asking some of the questions that you've sent to us. As I said, you sent us lots of questions. We want to go through some of those. Don't forget, you have the contact information. If you have some questions you want to pose, do them, and we'll say them right after the break.